The Modern Warfare 2 beta is officially out, and I've had around a full day playing through it at this point. My first impressions are that the game itself is very fun. However, there is still a long way to go, and I also think that this game won't be everyone's cup of tea. I personally definitely felt that through my playtime of this game, and I've played probably around 5, 6, maybe 7 hours of this game at this point. The game almost forces you to play a certain way, and with the skill-based matchmaking that this game has, it can be very harsh on the player at times. So today I wanted to review this game in its current build, which is the beta, and give my impressions to those that haven't yet had the chance to play this because you may not have the console or you're waiting out for the full release of the game. But anyway, let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. The gameplay in the Modern Warfare 2 beta is pretty much exactly like you'd imagine or expect. If you've played Modern Warfare 2019, you've played Modern Warfare 2 2022, it's as simple as that. The engines are pretty much identical, the weapons feel very similar, and the maps are not all that different from the layout of the previous games. Also, the sound effects are ones that you've also heard before. But this is also the same for if you loved Modern Warfare 2019, you're also going to love Modern Warfare 2 2022. For me, MW 2019 was the game that just had tons of character in its gameplay. Not from the map design or the pacing of the game, because that was just straight up awful and designed for campers with safe spaces in mind. But what I mean is the crispness of the weapon animations, the amazing sound effects, and just the really high quality graphics. Modern Warfare 2 takes all of those things from the previous game and just dials it up to 10 and delivers a really fun shooter. One thing I really like in this game that is brand new is the new spectator camera, and this is something that you're probably thinking, what? But look at this on screen. It is literally a helmet cam, which looks super dope. It's mounted on the right hand side of a soldier's helmet, and you are looking at them as you would if they had a GoPro on the side of the head or something like that. I think it's a really cool touch, and it just takes away from that boring, overused, normal, generic kill cam or spectator mode that we had in previous games, and just changes it up. The old saying goes, don't change things that aren't broken, but if you can find a new innovative way to do it, I'm all for it. The minimap, as far as I'm aware as well, is pretty much back to the way that it was always been and back to normal. It works really well, and to be honest, I'm glad they've not messed around with it. However though, I must warn you, still are the days where mouse and keyboard movement is just going to be unmatched. Obviously, aim assist is a big thing on controller for Call of Duty, and it is still very strong in Modern Warfare 2. However, the movement of mouse and keyboard in Modern Warfare 2019 was a massive skill gap between console players and PC players. This is the same in this game. Slide cancelling is no more in Modern Warfare 2, by the way, so that's also a really good thing, so I hated slide cancellers. However, there's still a very good movement gap between the two platforms, and it's noticeable in game. I am worried that this game is going to have a large skill gap in the player base, like Modern Warfare 2019 did, but we are just going to have to wait and see how Infinity Ward handle the feedback from this beta. So what about pacing of games and matches? How does that feel compared to the previous game? Well, the pacing of Modern Warfare 2 is what a lot of people would expect it to be, with it being a sequel of the slow, campy, and safe space Modern Warfare 2019. You'd be absolutely correct in thinking that it's very much the same, with the maps not following a traditional 3-lane system and the gameplay pacing from the likes of Cold War and Vanguard being pretty much non-existent. This game slows down the gameplay and wants you to approach games more tactically and more slowly to make you think about the way you're engaging and approaching combat, and I don't know if I really like that. The game wants you to utilize mounting. It wants you to hang from walls and peek over the wall with your pistol, or even holding a vantage point on top of a building on one of the maps and just sort of camping there with your portable shield. Now, granted, maybe it's just the maps we've played in this beta build. Granted, we've only played 4 of the maps in this build, and only 2 of them were any good in my opinion. These 2 were Mercedes La Almas and Farm 18. Valdirus Museum was so bad that it had to be removed from the rotation and replaced with Breberg Hotel, which isn't a terrible map, but it's not one of my favourites. Look, I'm glad they've steered away from that safe space camp haven map design they did in Modern Warfare 2019, but yet somehow the maps still promote taking it slower with a plethora of different windows and ledges and places that you can just sit behind a portable shield and camp. Unfortunately though, I don't think this is going to change. This will probably just be how Modern Warfare 2 is going to be, and it will suit those players a lot more that are very slow or take it slow and that like to hold a position down. Countless times I've been on high streaks. I think my highest streak in this game, which is very rare for me on the second day, is around a 19 or a 20, because every time I try to rush out, I get shot. So I take it slow, and by the time I'm on a 20, the game ends, or I've just left completely exposed in the open of the map. Audio wise though, I've got to say I found it pretty solid, to be honest. I can hear the enemies running around corners, the directional audio has proven to be very well tuned, and I know in my headphones if they're running behind me, if they're coming through a doorway, or if they're running towards a doorway, that I can pre-aim and I can shoot. So having a good headset, listening to audio in Modern Warfare 2 is very key, and it works in your favour if you use it right. I like the way the guns handle as well.
Yeah, I thought I was going to dislike the recoil, but it's actually pretty good.
And you know what? Sound design, very good so far. Okay, so moving on now to bugs and glitches. These are things that may or may not be resolved for the second week of the beta, but I think these will remain around until at least this week of the beta is completed. Let's start off with the main one that pretty much everyone has experienced at this point, and that's server lag and desync. The first night I had absolutely no issues with server lag or desync for that matter. It was pretty much perfect all night. However, the second day, man, it was rough. I would get stutters constantly, me thinking I'd ran around a corner and escaped an enemy that was chasing me, to then find out in their final kill cam that I was right in front of them. Look, this is only a beta, and a lot can change between now and release. We've got over a month before the game does finally release, but this game cannot afford to launch in this state. The server issues are horrendous. Not to mention either my game crashed on multiple occasions on the PlayStation 5. This stemmed from hard crashes to receiving dev error 7222 codes, with it completely freezing my game, resulting in a complete restart of the game. This game will have a lot of entities when it finally releases. We've got Warzone 2, Spec Ops, the campaign, DMZ, probably a couple of others as well, and of course the base multiplayer. So there's going to be a lot running on these servers when this game launches. I just really hope they can get this to a game to a state where it's going to be able to manage all of these game modes at once, because we're already playing a basic version of multiplayer right now, and these servers are not handling it very well. Other random parts I found was playing through the gameplay I wanted to bring up and let you guys know about was that the UI pops up during gameplay when calling in kill streaks and it remains on screen. Also, the ending kill cam as well, it can do that sometimes too, where you'll have the kill streak or even a heartbeat sensor on screen, which is a bit odd because you can't even use a heartbeat sensor in the beta. Kill streaks sometimes just can't be called in or used on the iPad. I found about 3 or 4 occasions where I've tried to call in a stealth bomber or any other streak of that matter, where I'm just holding this iPad and I can't do a thing. I can't come out of it manually. I have to wait 30 seconds for the timer to complete before it cancels out, and in that time I'm rather dead or it's just boring. Stealth bomber.
The enemy controls 2 objectives. Push the offensive.
I'm so dead. I can't call the stealth bomber in. Hello?
Friendly UAV online.
Hello? I'm literally stuck in this animation and I can't do
Securing
anything.
objective Alpha.
Oh, and it's launched. But there's still a month before release. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. We'll have to wait and see. Now, briefly, let's go over the user interface. It's terrible. I don't know why game developers, studios, and teams try to overcomplicate the user interfaces in betas or even pre-releases of games. What happened to the simple UI from COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3? The Modern Warfare 2 menu screen is just way too overcomplicated. So we have our first menu. The first menu has the hot section, which has like 2 game modes. So we've got, of course, the team deathmatch side of things and then whatever else it might be. But then there's like different sub menus within this menu where you can go up and it will show you the message of the day or something, and then you can scroll down and it take you directly to the store page. Within this menu, by the way, you can't create any classes or do anything like that. You have to go into one of the game modes on the hot menu, which in this case will be team deathmatch, and that's where you can then search for a game again, or you can create your class, change your operator, equip your streaks and things like that. It's just, I'm not a fan of this menu at all. I don't think it works very well. Along with this as well, the creator class system could be simplified more too. Modern Warfare 2019's creator class system was very easy to use, very simple to use, and they've again tried to overcomplicate something and fix something that wasn't broken. Along with this as well, there's a brand new perk system, which is pretty complicated to get used to at the start as well, and I'm pretty mixed on it, to tell you the truth. There should be some explanation before jumping into this game as to how things work that you can have a read through, because at the moment I'm finding I've got no idea on how things work in quite a few areas. And going into the general settings menu as well, it hosts a massive amount of accessibility features, but of course PC options will be more varied and much more customization will be offered to you on PC, but the PS5 version is pretty good. Weapons, Sandbox and balance. The Sandbox will be very familiar to those that have played the previous game, Modern Warfare 2019. You'll see weapons returning from that game, along with equipment, field upgrades and much more throughout. However, one amazing thing is that you can change between score streaks and kill streaks with just a flick of a button. There's no need to equip a separate perk. This is just something you can do on the fly whatever you want to, and this is really good because you can do this when you want to go and play domination. You can change it to score streaks. When you're playing team deathmatch or ground war, you can then change it to kill streaks. I like the idea. I think it works very well. The feel of the weapons also is pretty good. You can really see what Infinity Ward have tried to do and change from Warzone and Modern Warfare 2019, and I do have to commend them for that. Gone are those lasering days back in the Warzone days where you can use the growl and just literally laser someone from across the map with zero recoil or weapon movement. Now guns will move much more when firing, which can be controlled, but it's a lot harder to do that than previous titles. I mean, there's still going to be people lasering people, of course there will be, it's Call of Duty, but what I'm saying is they've made it much harder to do that in this game, which I'm much happier about. Although serious weapon balancing is needed, and the time from the beta ends up until the launch of the game is prime time to make sure this is done. Another example of this is the MP5. This weapon cannot be unlocked in the base version of the beta, so you have to do a couple of little tricks here and there in order to unlock it. The term overpowered is thrown around a lot in Call of Duty, but this weapon isn't overpowered. It's unfair. This needs a heavy nerf when the game releases, and alongside the M4, that's also a very good and powerful weapon. I wouldn't say it's overpowered, but it is a very good balanced weapon, as the M4 should be. The FSS Hurricane as well is a really nice SMG to use, but is quite inconsistent at medium ranges. And the Signal 50. This gun is insane. Changed is that horrendous live service story, which time is better than what we currently have, right? But you have things, it's a progression of the season, it's just this. What better way? I'll try to replicate it as much as possible on screen. So field upgrades make a return to glory as well. The deployable shield, portable radar from Modern Warfare 3. Man, I love that that's back. Attack insertion, trophy system, munitions box, etc. You guys know the drill from the previous games. But we have got a couple of new additions to this as well. One of them being a battle rage, where you inhale some form of gas and it sends you into some absolute mental state. A loadout drop being one coming, which is like one-man army from Modern Warfare 2, so I'm a little bit worried about that one for campers, so we'll have to see how that plays out. A tactical camera, that's also interesting for Search and Destroy. A literal inflatable decoy, which is like an actual person, which I've been mugged off by so many times. A DDoS attack as well, which is like a mini EMP. One of the big things that I've picked up on as well, and this goes back to my gameplay side of things, is that I feel like Infinity Ward have tried their best to make it more of a tactical shooter by adding things like a spy camera, like a decoy, and it just seems very much like Rainbow Six, as in like you'll be try to be very tactical with things, lean around corners, all of this. That isn't Call of Duty, and I hope that it does work out, and I hope this doesn't backfire on them when it comes to playing casual multiplayer. They do need to try and separate the competitive side and the social side of these games, because if they don't do that, then we're going to be in for a problem, of course. And finally, map and level design. Infinity Ward has tried to stay true to what made Call of Duty so fun initially back in COD 4, and they did this massively in Modern Warfare 2019, essentially neglecting the generic 3-lane map system and going with something a little bit more crazy. So the 4 main maps are Mercade Las Almas, Farm 18, Valderis Museum, which was removed and replaced with Greenberg Hotel. One of the things I would have done personally if I was managing what was in this beta is I would put one remake in there. These maps are good, but I feel like with learning the new maps as well as playing it and trying to learn the new movement and things, it can be quite hectic for a player to do that, do well and enjoy it. I would have put one familiar map in there for the OGs, and like for the likes of Quarry was a good example, one that's very open, one that will give you a good idea of what the gameplay of Modern Warfare 2 is going to be like, and then let us play that and obviously have a bit of nostalgia, but also enjoy the moment with Quarry playing through and using the sandbox in this game. I think that would have been a better thing to do, but the 3 maps we've got in the beta right now aren't terrible, but they're just not really my cup of tea, and for me, they're just not ones that I'm personally going to remember, like a Quarry or a Terminal or a High Rise, you know? But overall, final closing thoughts, I like the game. I think it's got a lot of potential. There's a lot of things that need changing, a lot of things that need balancing. I think Infinity Ward need to find a good balance between competitive and social play. I think competitive does take the edge with skill-based matchmaking and things, and also with these movement mechanics and stuff that they've implemented and added to the game, and these different equipment types that they've also added to try and make it more of a tactical competitive shooter. They need to really try and sort that out and strike that balance. Other than that though, I think the game is fun, has a lot of potential. I think it feels really good. I'm more excited for the likes of DMZ, Spec Ops and the campaign, but the multiplayer is also going to be a very fun place to be when it does come out. And this is Call of Duty for the next 2 years, so we've got a long way to go, and there's going to be a lot of balancing acts throughout. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, guys, but let me know your thoughts and opinions down below if you've played it. If you haven't played it, what do you think of the gameplay you've seen, and what do you think of my my overall thoughts in this video? Let me know your thoughts, leave a rating if you did enjoy, subscribe if you're brand new, and we'll see you all in the next one.